debates. And we'll see more about that later, inshallah. And we also see from his model that he had haiba. Haiba is something like when you see him, you would be in awe and you would be in total respect of him. And this is one of the, the formulas I tell the brothers. When they're looking to get married, someone will come to me and they say, Brother Muhammad, I need to get married. And the person has a baseball cap backwards, pants, slipping down, stuff like that. I would say, what father is going to give his daughter to you? There's no haiba. There's no respect in your aura, the way you carry yourself and conduct yourself. And if you want to get married, you have to first look like someone who's marriage stock, like someone who wants to get married wants their daughter to get married to this person because of the way they conduct themselves. And so when the person has this haiba, that haiba or that respect for that person, the way that they conduct themselves, the way that they carry themselves, immediately it shows to the other people that this person is confident, this person is to be listened to. And I remember doing a little activity with one of the classes that we had, and I was showing them basically just kind of like a psychological way of giving the person some haiba. How do you do it? You just imagine there's this jaw clip in your mouth and it's pulling you up on a chain, right? So you can try it right now. Pretend like there's this thing in your mouth, right? You're clawed onto it and it's pulling you up. Allow yourself to be pulled up. It keeps pulling you. You're almost off your position on the carpet. If someone looked over this class right now, they would say immediately that you guys are students of knowledge. When I said, okay, activity over, you slouched back down. Some people are going for their notes and so on. But when you slouch, it automatically signals to the person, the haiba, it deteriorates the more you slouch. And as you stand up straight and you straighten out your shoulders and you're tall and you're strong like that, and then you speak about Islam, people know. And what's interesting is that Ahlul Dalal, the people of falsehood, when they speak about their attacks against Islam, you will see them standing like that, with full confidence. And then when a Muslim is replying to them, you'll see in many cases the Muslim is the one with the shoulders crouched down, speaking softly and not with the same confidence. And it should be the exact opposite. How does the exact opposite happen? It happens with the person learning their deen and knowing how to properly go about teaching it. So Imam Malik, of course, with all the knowledge that he had, he stood erect. He was very tall, very strong person. You would see him and you would immediately have that respect. And a lot of people narrated this from Imam Malik, Rahimahullah. And as some people said, that perhaps it was something between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we don't know. But anybody who had met him understood that kind of respect and confidence that Imam Malik carried. And again, all of these things that we're about to be speaking about, for us, the lesson that we take from it is to model ourselves after these great people. Again, we want our ilm to pass on to the others. We want our legacy of Islam to pass on to the non-Muslims. And so if it worked for them, and now we're here 1,000 years later with that knowledge, then we have to look at what did they do? What were the ingredients that made them successful, made them chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that bi'idhnillah we can emulate and have an example in these people. One of the things, the successes of Imam Malik rahimahullah, is that, or as he said, that there are two types of people. There are people that a lot of people know their mistakes, and there are others whom a lot of people don't know their mistakes. He says, Adraktu bil Medina. He said, I found in the Medina people that had uyub. They had shortcomings, they had mistakes. Everybody knew the mistakes. فَسَكَتُوا عَنْ عُيُوبِ النَّاسِ. But these people who had mistakes and shortcomings themselves, they didn't busy themselves. Their life was not spent chasing out the mistakes of others. And he said, as time passed, the people forgot their mistakes. Meaning these people who had mistakes, as time passed, everybody forgot what mistakes they had. And they became honorable and noble in the community. And he said, وَأَدْرَكْتُ بِالْمَدِينَةِ. And I found other people in Al-Madinah who had no uyub, meaning that they were just clean, they were good people, but they spent their time following the mistakes of other people. Meaning like, oh, did you see what happened to this person? Did you hear what so-and-so said? Did you hear what happened at that place? They followed and with a magnifying glass looking for the mistakes of other people and trying to bring it out. And he said, so as time passed, فَسَارَتْ لَهُمْ عُيُوب, that they became people of shortcoming. Because they made that policy for themselves And so the people that they used to speak with were the ones that eventually turned against them, rose up against them, and started speaking against them. And that's a phenomenon. And usually when people don't know about Islam too much, they might get involved in that kind of qila wal qal. This person said and that person said. And in the long term, when people make that as their manhaj, that we will speak about other people, in the long term, all the people who were spoken about will start speaking about those people. And in the end, their own followers might be the ones that rise up and speak against the person that started off with the refutations and so on and so forth. And so as we're going to see here again with the A'imma, that they spent their time proactively. Meaning that if there was a mistake, if there was a bid'ah, there was something that needed to be changed, they didn't sit back commenting. But in fact, they made a difference in bringing the sunnah to the people. You'll see from the fiqh of Imam Malik rahimahullah, and again there are many examples, bi'idhnillah, of his sincerity to Allah Azza wa Jal. There was one time that he came into the masjid. And he came in after Asr. As you know that if someone enters the masjid, they should pray 2 raka'at before they sit down, tahiyyatul masjid, at any time. But now an issue comes in that the Prophet ﷺ forbade people from praying after Asr. So if someone comes into the masjid after Asr, should they sit down following the forbiddance of the Prophet of praying after Asr, or should they pray 2 raka'at? Imam Malik's opinion was that that person should sit down and not pray the 2 raka'at. He entered the masjid. One of the young boys says to Imam Malik, "Qum fasalli rak'atayn." He said, "Get up and pray 2 rak'ats. What are you doing?" And this is Imam Malik rahimahullah. What did he do? He stood up and he prayed 2 rak'at. So while he was praying the 2 rak'at, this is just a little boy. While he's praying the 2 rak'at, all the students are the whispers. Did his madhab change? Did his fiqh change? Did his opinion change? What happened? And so he finished the 2 rak'at, all the students gathered around with their pens, notebooks, ready to find out what had happened, what had changed. And Imam Malik rahimahullah said it hadn't changed, and his opinion hadn't changed. He said, but I feared when that boy said that to me. He said, I remember the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمُ ارْكَعُوا لَا يَرْكَعُونَ. And when it said to them, bow to Allah, they do not bow. And he said, in that moment, when this boy commanded me to pray, I feared that if I didn't do it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would enter me into this ayah and I would be amongst these people. And again, this is an issue of ijtihad. He's not going against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, as a layperson will think immediately, hey, what's going on? Just like the students were confused. But it was an issue of ijtihad. And now another commandment came in play, and this was Imam Malik rahimahullah coming to this decision. Imam Malik rahimahullah was also of the opinion that Ijma' Ahlul Medina was proof. Ijma' Ahlul Medina basically is the culture of Medina at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Basically, I'm not going into detail, there's a lot of talk about it. But why he said this? And it was an opinion that the other scholars didn't apply like the way Imam Malik rahimahullah applied. But he felt that Medina, everybody that was there in Medina were the grandchildren of the Sahaba. So you had the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba, the Muhajirin, the Ansar. These were their children that were walking around. So for example, after Ramadan, they wouldn't fast 6 days of Shawwal. Something that, there's a difference of opinion regarding in the Maliki madhab. But this was not something that the people of Medina did. And so Imam Malik rahimahullah at that time may have taken that as proof stronger than one narrator or 2 narrators here or there. Because this is thousands upon thousands of people taking on the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ. And of course, not till the end of time, and there's different conditions that they laid down for Ijma' Ahl al-Medina. But just to give you an example of how strong Imam Malik rahimahullah was in establishing al-Madinah al-Munawwara for the Sunnah. A man came into Masjid Nabawi and he had a shawl on, and he puts the shawl down in front of him. And Imam Malik forbids him from doing that. Why? Is there something wrong with putting a shawl down on the ground before you pray? There's nothing wrong. But why did he do that? He got angry at this person and he said, don't put your shawl down. He said, because this is the bowl of knowledge where the people learn their sunnah from. People come here from the east and the west, far and wide, to look at the culture of the grandchildren of the Sahaba, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. Coming to Masjid Nabawi, he said, someone may come and see you, put your shawl down, look at you and consider this to be the sunnah, and then go back to his people and misguide them in this point. And he wouldn't allow it. And the ulama take from this, there are certain locations that are more stronger in applying the sunnah. For example, you might go to a conference, different types of people gather. It might be less so. But there are masajid that people know that this is where the sunnah is established. And so applying the sunnah might be stronger in one area than in other areas. And this is the fiqh of understanding. Imam Malik Rahimahullah is not saying that something like this is haram, but because of the location and the importance and the educational atmosphere of Masjid Nabawi.